Hi, everybody. It's Carolyn. I am looking at some things this evening. I don't even know how I got to this family because I'm not related to them at all. But some of the inconsistencies in what was going on in Family Search with this family made me so completely berserk, which happens a lot, that I decided I would get to work on them. And this family in particular highlights both a new function in Family Search and a big problem in Family Search. So I thought I would make a quick video for you. Let's see how I can explain it. Okay, so first off, I was actually looking, if we scroll down, I was looking at William Ketz's wife somehow. Now, you'll notice that there are absolutely no dates for these people, none whatsoever. And that over on the right here with latest changes, these are changes that I've made where I've been doing some child adding, merge, completing, etc. But if I show all of the changes that have been made, you can see the source of how these people got into Family Search in the first place. And it's very frustrating. If we go down, 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 down to earlier days, here we go. Family Search apparently did a whole jack ton of work in 2012. Apparently, it was a time of digitizing individual records and just throwing them into the void that is Family Search, or that was the initial Family Search, without actually trying to tie anything together and create families. So they were making them searchable, but they were creating a lot of problems too. That means that there are a lot of mergers, a lot of mergings that have to go on. And also, when you index, the instructions tell you in Family Search, write it exactly the way that you see it. Don't use punctuation. And you can see that there's L period. And so that is actually not the way that it's done now. Perhaps that is how it was done in 2012. It's not now. Um, but the thing that's a real killer is that there are all these, let's say we've got Schackinder, and then we've got Schadak Schneider, Schadak Schinder, and then we've got Schada Schinder, and then we go to Schachtschneider and Zach Schneider. This is all one woman, my friends. All one woman. So what I've gotten so far is that it's Schacht Schneider, and there's probably going to be an E in there because I do speak enough German to know that Schneider means cutter, or actually cutting fabric as in tailor, but schneiden is to cut. Anyway, so here's the other thing that's really cool. It always used to say, well, if the database could come up with sufficient data, it would say that there is a possible duplicate for the person that you're looking at. And that would show up here with a red exclamation point under research help. You can see there is a possible duplicate for Louisa, and there she is with her FSID, or Family Search ID number. And you can see that that number there is different from this number here. They're considered to be two different people attached to two different records floating around in the atmosphere within Family Search. But here's the cool thing. Because I've been merging these people, there are all of these spouses, these versions of her spouse. And it's August Ketz. And what's showing now is also possible duplicate spouse. That's new within the last, to me, within the last month. It's entirely possible that that actually has shown up a lot earlier than that, and I just wasn't in Family Search doing the work, but it's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a possible duplicate merger on Louisa Zach. Now see, this says Schneider, so I know that it's going to be Schneider. Okay, so let's do review merge. And what it does is it just brings them up the same way as if you're adding from Ancestry to Family Search or vice versa. It brings up two columns. One is each person. You can see here's the FSID of one person, and the FSID of the other. They're two mutually exclusive people, and it tells you who's going to go away, what record is going to go away, and what record is going to stick around. The one on the left is going to stick around. Sorry about that. Did you hear a great big bing bong, ding dong? I hate that when that happens. Anyway, so the thing on the left, the person on the left is going to stick around. The person on the right is going to, you can either replace this data with this data, you can reject it altogether, or you can just let it fall away in the merge process. And that is explained here, or deleted at the end of the merging process. But a record of what happened in terms of mergers does remain. As I showed you at the very beginning, I was able to scroll backwards and see what happened in 2012. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this. Now, I know that she needs an E before her I, so this is not particularly impressive to me. So I'm going to reject that altogether. Female deceased. Wow, big whoop. Okay, that tells me absolutely nothing. We have yet another version of August Ketz and another version of her daughter. So now if you see here on the left, these are the sources so far in FamilySearch that were used to establish Louisa's identity and her ties to these various people in her family. She has a daughter named Lydia. She has a daughter-in-law, Violet Blemmings, which is how I was Blemming, and that's how I was getting there. I was getting there through the Blemming line. Still not related to them, but I was getting there. It's a married into my family type of line. And this is basically, these are basically all these things that are attached to her. So we're going to continue the merge. And why is it correct? It's a duplicate. That's all you have to write, and then you finish the merge. Now, because I added that record and there were already 2 records of her husband, there are now 3. And this is why. If you scroll down and you look at her family members, we've got one version of August Ketz, that number, that FSID right there. We've got a second version of August Ketz there, and it's Aug period because that's how it was written in the records, in the marriage records that were attached to them both. And then we have a third one, Aug Ketz, and it's a third number, a different number. So there are all these exclusive numbers. They are attached to exclusive records, one from another. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the possible duplicate spouse. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up 2 versions of August Ketz. And it doesn't matter which one we keep, as long as we keep all of the children and everything like that. We just keep the newest and best information. We're keeping our best data. There's absolutely nothing new there in the vital information between either of the records. So we're just going to go walk on by. Now let's see what the deal is. This is the same Louisa as here because it's the same number. We can see this is the same Lydia as here, but see how it says more? Why more? Because it's been established that that is their biological daughter. Let's replace that. Nothing new. Here are the sources where she comes from. See, Lydia's marriage to a guy named William C.J. Kepke is where these various records came from. So here we go. And there are duplicates of these marriage records, and that's why there are all these different versions of the exact same person. So we've got another August Ketz. So we're going to do the same thing again. And all you have to do is look for your best evidence, keep what's good, more informative, etc. Don't worry about anything that's duplicative. Same wife, looking at the FSID, same daughter, only here she's got the more under her, and that more shows that she's biological. Now we've got William Ketz. William Ketz is not only not over here, but he's also the biological child of mom and dad. So we're going to add him. That's our, again, best evidence. These are all of the records that are attached to the newly merged person on the left. We're continuing the merge, and we're saying because it was a duplicate. The next thing to do for August, we're going to look. Now here's our research help. All these little bright blue boxes over here. I don't know whether they're him or not. I'm going to look at them, but those are hints to evaluate. The same way that you look at Ancestry and you see a little green leaf, here you see a little blue document. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to correct his name. There we go. Now from these records, ostensibly one will be able to establish his birth and death dates. But what we're going to do, of course, is we're not going to look at those. We'll go backwards first. Now, William, let's see what we've got for William. William married Violet. Violet was born in about 1879. Actually, that was there before, and I was going to fix that. So I'm going to do that super quick. I just remember that from what I was doing a few minutes ago. So now we can look at someone whose birth information we have, at least her year and where. And we can look at these census records, and they're going to add her husband because her married name is in place here. So they're going to add the information about birth year and stuff like that to William H. Ketz. What do you want to bet that H is for Henry? And because the punctuation drives me bonkers, I'm deleting that. So the next thing to do would be, and I won't take you there because we don't need to go there right now. We've already been chatting for 12 minutes. The next thing to do would be to go to somebody whose work you know has some information and add records and go backwards. So if you're working in FamilySearch and you're doing your research in FamilySearch, it's not exactly what I would recommend, but if you want to, hey, who am I to hold you back? I would start with the earliest record, the 1900 census. There they are living in Detroit City. And there's William there. So I would review and attach this. What the heck, we'll do that too. And then we'll go. One last little thing before we go. This is what adding a record looks like in FamilySearch. It is very different in some ways. It's very similar in others to what Ancestry looks like. The problem that I have with adding records in FamilySearch is you see that I can't control anything here. These fields aren't open to editing. So I can't add to her middle name if there were something here to, if it was Wilhelmina or something, I wouldn't be able to change W over here to Wilhelmina. The birth over here is November 1880. Here it's 1879. I can't add that new information. The only information that FamilySearch lets me add when I am adding a new document is the residence and the year and that stuff. So I have to hold it in my mind. November 1880 is what the 1900 census said that what was her birth date. And they're usually pretty close. So November 1880. Okay, great. And you say that you want everything tagged and you want to add the source to the source box. Okay, groovy, attach, same thing here. Now it says Michigan and it's October 1876. Again, I can't add that new information. So she's November of 1880 and he's October of 1876. November 1880, October 1876. November 1880. Do you do this too? October 1876. November 1880. Say it until you do it. October of 1876. So, November, and you have to click on the standardized date thing. November 18, 80 October of 1876 is her husband. Here's her husband. October of 1876. Click on the standard, so it's standardized and you have your little green check. And the same thing here. You see how it says just Michigan, but this is actually the place it should be. You just hit Michigan, bam, standardized, save. That's good work. That's a little bit of how you work in FamilySearch and how you work with possible duplicates and even how you add a record. Not too bad for a 15-minute video. So I hope that this was helpful to you. And if you want to know more about working in FamilySearch or working in Ancestry or both or anything, or how it is that you wrestle the graphics from of clips and things like that, especially since the obituaries are now available in Ancestry from newspapers.com. Give me a holler. Tell me something that you want me to do a video for, and I will do it. These are for Patreon patrons only, and you are special, and I love you. So thank you very much. Have a good day, evening, night, whatever.